Next up on the Daily, Toronto finally wins. The no-name defense keeps rolling on, and newsflash, Fredy Montero scores goals. Welcome to the Daily for Thursday, May 10th with Andrew Wiebe. I'm Jason Saghini. Many of you may expect us to start with the New York shutout over Houston, their third in the row. But Andrew, Toronto has won a game! Toronto FC in the Canadian Championship gets a big victory, and they will move on to the finals.
Yeah, for the first time since CONCACAF Champions League action, Toronto leaves the stadium with a good feeling after 8 straight losses in MLS. They've moved on to the Amway Canadian Championship final. A convincing win for them, and the early goal really helped. In the first 2 minutes, Reggie Lamb cleaning up a little bit of a miscue there in the back by the Montreal defense. Nice finish to the outside of the foot, and then Ryan Johnson gets a second in the first half. Montreal could never recover. A great game for the neutral, though. A lot of chances, a lot of going back and forth, some good saves by Milos Kocic, but Toronto got to hand it to them when it counted. They finally got it done.
Yeah, you mentioned it. Toronto had not won a game since March 14th. Definitely had been a while. They'll move on to take on the Vancouver Whitecaps. Vancouver getting by Edmonton after a little bit of a scare.
Yeah, a little bit of a scare indeed. They were down 1-0. Of course, they had the 2-0 aggregate lead from the first leg, but then substitutes came on, and that's when they buried him. Sebastien with 2 goals, and then Darren Mattox, returning from that cooking accident and that injury that held him out for quite a bit of time here to start the season, he puts that final one away. They'll be happy with that result, although maybe a little bit concerned about the start there.
Should also mention Davide Cumiento with 3 assists in that game. Again, the final begins May 16th at BC Place, the Vancouver Whitecaps and Toronto FC. Now to the MLS action from last night. The Red Bulls and their no-name defense with their 3rd straight shutout, another 1-0 victory over the Houston Dynamo.
Yeah, and Taylor Ruthven said it afterwards. Stop calling us a no-name defense. 3 straight for Mira. They are playing very well right now. It is not pretty. Nobody would describe it as such, but the results are there. The 3 points are there, and Kenny Cooper, I don't know if you can get any luckier on a goal than that, but credit to him for working hard and getting in the right place. Houston, they're done with that road trip. They'll now go back home and face DC United this weekend at the brand new BBVA Compass Stadium.
Moving on, it was FC Dallas hosting the Seattle Sounders. Of course, Schalke's Hyman without Daniel Hernandez, without Blas Perez, also without his captain Ugo Ihemelu in that game, and it showed in the end. Seattle, with Fredy Montero coming off the bench, scoring a brace, takes the win.
Yeah, it looked like maybe Dallas was going to be able to hold on for that 0-0 result that, to be honest, would have been a very good one against a rampant Sounders side, especially considering, as you said, all those players missing. But Fredy Montero, when it rains, it pours for that guy, and after scoring that beautiful goal here recently, he's starting to get into form. He's starting to score the goals that we expect him to, and both great finishes from him, but you'll look for him to continue that. A good win for Seattle. They continue to move up those Western Conference standings.
Yeah, Seattle now starting the season 7-1-1, their best start all time, and you mentioned it, Fredy Montero, 3 goals and an assist in his last 3 games. Speaking of goals, there were no goals out in Chicago. Real Salt Lake came to town. It was definitely a defensive matchup. Fittingly, that C.J. Brown on the night was inducted into the Ring of Fire, and he saw a good defensive display.
Yeah, and the Fire are starting to see what might be their first choice center back pairing going forward. I think a lot of people starting the season assumed it would be Jalil Anibaba and Corey Gibbs. Of course, Corey Gibbs out now with injury, and Anibaba had been suspended, but Arne Friedrich and Austin Berry looked very good together last night against an RSL side that admittedly were looking for that shutout, according to Jason Kreis. So good performance on both sides. I think each got maybe what they wanted from this one in the long run.
And the young and the old getting it done for the Fire in the back. Finally, there was one more match last night with an MLS team in action. It was a friendly. The Philadelphia Union hosting German side Schalke.
Yeah, 2-1 win for the Union. They seem to do very well in these international friendlies. The game-winning goal coming from youngster Chandler Hoffman. Another thing that tends to happen for this Union side in these games. But interesting point from this match, Lionel Pahoy scores the first, and the Union fans serenading him with a "Do That Sunday" chant. They'll hope that maybe that production from their forwards carries over to MLS play.
Yeah, they take on the Red Bulls on Sunday at 12:30 Eastern time on ESPN. One more thing I want to mention, Houston Dynamo opening up BBVA Compass Stadium this weekend, and our guys Nick Verschaw and Greg Lawless are headed down there. They will have a special Extra Time radio from Houston later today, so check back on the site for that, and we'll be back on the Daily tomorrow.